It's been over 3 years since I featured this Martin 12 string on this channel when I installed a bridge doctor to try and fix the belly and the action on the car. Unfortunately, installing that didn't make the change that I needed, and so now I'm going to go back and actually reset the neck. And so the first thing to do is to take measurements of where the current action is so that when I'm removing material from the neck joint that I make sure to remove enough. The next step, of course, is to remove all of the strings, remove the bridge doctor, so that I can actually start to work on the process of removing the neck from the body. The first step in removing the neck from the body is to heat the part of the fretboard that overhangs the body. And the way I'm going to do this is using my guitar bending machine. And what this does is has heat blankets, and the wire is a temperature probe. And so what you end up doing is heating up the joint for maybe 20, 30 minutes. And then using a series of spatulas, you start to break the glue joint from the body and the fretboard. And as you can imagine, this is a delicate operation because you don't want to scratch up the top, but yet it does take force um, to break this glue joint. And so you really just take your time and go through the process, doing your best. I have maybe three different tools here. One of them is just a dough cutter from Dollar General. I figured there's no need to spend tens to hundreds of dollars trying to do this. Those dough cutters are like $2 at the dollar store, so it works very well. And basically, you just, as I said, take your time and try not to scratch up the top too much. With the fretboard overhang separated from the body, now I am going to use a specialty tool, which you can get at StewMac and you can build it yourself, but it basically sets it up so that you use the rims of the guitar body for leverage, and use a knob that you can push the neck upwards. When you're doing a neck reset or just removing a neck from the body, you don't want to rock it from side to side, as you could end up using leverage and breaking some of the more crucial parts on the inside. And so this allows you to push the neck up in the direction you actually want to remove it. Another crucial step in the process is applying heat to the dovetail joint. And so the first thing I do is remove the 15th fret, which is just about where the end of the dovetail will be. And then you can drill a hole or multiple holes at an angle to try and get your heating probe around where the glue joint is. And the theory is that you heat up the glue joint, which allows it to weaken, and then by turning the knob on the special jig, it allows you to remove the neck. And you'll know that you've hit the right point where the drill bit seems to fall right through the fretboard. That means you've hit the void between the mortise of the body and the tenon of the neck. And so here I drill 2 holes, and then I put some water in the holes just to kind of amplify the heating effect with steam. Now I'm putting my probes in, which are really just bent copper wires that I cut out a piece of leftover romex that I had in my workshop. And now I'm putting in a soldering iron, and I'll just plug this in and let it heat up for a while, monitoring the amount of time and the amount of heat that I'm applying to the neck, while also turning the knob on the jig. And what you're getting here is the glue is getting weakened by the heat. I'm putting pressure in the direction that I want it to go, and the neck will eventually pop out. Now, to avoid having any issues with the finish, I actually go back with a razor blade and try and trim the connection between the neck and the body, just in case they've fused together over the 40 or 50 years that this guitar has been around. And then really there's nothing left to do but wait. You don't want to force the knob too much, and even though I'm moving the neck a little bit here, I'm not trying to put too much pressure on. I'm really just trying to feel, are we making any progress or not? You do see a little bit of the water has seeped out, and so there is some sort of hole in the joint where the water is coming out, and so that's a good sign as well. And of course, as it goes when you're making a YouTube video, this was going on so long that I paused, and then of course the neck popped out. And so you can see here, the jig has now let go, the neck is separate from the body, and the process of cleanup can now begin. The first thing I do is go in with a chisel and try and clean out any of the glue and any shims that are present. Because I'm going to be changing the angle of the neck anyway, I want to have the cleanest surface possible so that I can put new shims in and make the joint fit as perfectly as I can. And so there's no real secret here or process. You just scrape and chisel off the glue, and then eventually you get down to clean wood. Same thing where the fingerboard was removed from the body. I want to go and just clean up any bits of glue, smooth up any parts of the soundboard that might be sticking up, just so that there's the cleanest glue joint possible. The actual process of changing the neck angle is pretty quick. You use a process called flossing, and unfortunately my camera angle isn't the best here, but I'm taking a piece of 80 grit sandpaper and pulling it through the joint on each side, trying to keep the amount that's removed equal on both sides. And the reason why this works is when you're pulling the sandpaper through the joint, the part that's closest to the back of the guitar body gets more sandpaper pulled past it than the top does, which rotates the neck angle downwards or makes it more steep, which raises the fretboard angle towards the bridge. And I don't do a good job of this in the beginning of the video, but when I put my straight edge on to measure, it was hitting below the front of the bridge. And then once I actually go through and improve the angle, now the plane is slightly above the front of the bridge, which should give me enough angle to lower the string action the amount that I want. And now with the neck angle set the way I like it, I'm adding some shims both to the sides of the dovetail and to the bottom of the fretboard extension. And here with the fretboard extension, you can see I'm using some dyed black veneer, and I think I used 3 sheets of it, which is about 1/8 of an inch total once it all got set into place. And this accounts for the fact that I've changed the neck angle, and that will add a bit of a space underneath the fretboard where it used to actually just touch the body. And with everything fitting the way I want, now it's time to glue the neck back to the body. I put some glue obviously on the sides of the dovetail, underneath the fretboard extension, and then I spend a considerable amount of time just making sure everything is lined up the way I want it. Obviously, once you put glue in place, you're on the clock, and so you really want to take your time and check everything before the glue sets. In terms of the number of clamps you use to ensure a good glue joint, opinion differs, but in my opinion you don't want to use too many. So here I'm using a clamp through the sound hole to obviously attach the fretboard extension to the body of the neck. And then I use one more clamp to push the front of the dovetail joint against the body. Now, the dovetail should already fit so snugly in the joint that you could pick up the guitar even without a clamp. But in this case, just if any swelling occurs or anything else, I'm clamping the neck joint in place so that it doesn't move while the glue sets. After a couple of hours, I took the clamps off and then went back and just cleaned up any of the glue squeeze out that I could get with the chisel. Before restringing the whole thing, I put 2 sacrificial strings on the high E and the low E so that I can measure the string action. And so I can compare these values to the original values I did before I reset the neck, and I can see how much further down the action is at the 12th fret, as well as measuring the action at the 1st fret, and this will let me know whether I need to create a new saddle and or a new nut. My measurements indicated that I needed to create a new saddle, and so I'm creating one out of a bone blank here. And I'm intentionally not going to go through the whole process of creating a bone blank, just because it's fairly tedious and I don't want to make this video too long. But here I'm using a couple pieces of thin wood kind of as spacers, and then using that in combination with the original saddle so that I can draw an outline for the new one. And then I'll go back and sand the saddle close to the line so that I have a taller saddle than I need, and then I can fit it down to the final action that I'm interested in. With the rough shape and size in place, now it's just a long, tedious process of shaping the saddle, bringing the height down a little bit, measuring, and so forth until you get the string action that you want at the 12th fret. Because I took the time to carefully remove the 15th fret, I can actually put it right back in place. And this just saves a little bit of effort in terms of fret leveling and things of that nature. Obviously, I can go back later and do any fret work that I might want to do, but reusing the fret saves a little bit of time. So I finished roughing out the saddle and I restrung the guitar. Obviously, when I was doing this, I had 2 strings here just so I could check if I was in the right vicinity of string height. And so now I actually use the a digital gauge to see how the action actually is. When I started out on the E string, the action was 0.143 inches, which is considerably high. It's now at 0.11 inches, which is still probably a little bit high for what I want to do. However, there is still plenty of saddle here, and so I can bring those strings down. On the high E side, it was actually pretty good in the past. It was just about 0.08 on the high E, and now we're about 0.09, and so that's actually not bad. I don't mind having it slightly higher. Obviously, with a 12 string, most people don't try and play screaming fast leads. And so that will give the strings a little bit more area to vibrate. But again, I've got plenty of saddle here now to lower things. One thing I didn't do was build a new nut. And so the next thing I want to check is just to see what the string height is at the 1st fret. You want to keep this around 20 thousandths of an inch to maybe 18 thousandths of an inch on the unwound strings. Otherwise, you can have a lot of trouble playing the F chord. You can have some tuning issues, and so let's see what that is. All right, so at the first fret, it's just about 23 thousandths, which is well reasonable for me. And same thing, let's look at the unwound E strings. They're at 0.19, 0.12, nope, excuse me, 0.19 to 0.2, and so I don't need a new nut currently, and the action is pretty much spot on at the first fret. And so, of course, the biggest thing here is, what does it sound like? Like all 12 strings, once you can get them in tune, it's it basically sounds like a chorus of angels. So with that, I'm going to end the video. I think this was a successful neck reset. As I mentioned, I can probably optimize this a little bit more. I think I have the relative string heights pretty good. I may bring them down a little bit by sanding the underside of the saddle. But as it plays right now, it's dramatically better than it was. And of course, the biggest issue before was there was nothing else I could do. The saddle was so low, it was almost touching the bridge, and there was almost no break angle to the strings here, and so they were kind of buzzy, almost sitar-like. Now with the neck angle steepened, I have plenty of additional space to work on the saddle. To bring the string action down, and yeah, now I have a working 12-string Martin guitar. So thanks for watching. I probably will do one more video just to clean up some of the cosmetic issues of this. I haven't done anything with the shim that I put in here, and so I might put it a light coating of lacquer or maybe shellac or something. When I was trying to get the neck off, I actually blushed the lacquer a little bit here. And so we'll save that for a potential future video. But as I said, now that I have a working guitar, I look forward to playing this, and thanks for watching.